Morning, United fans. Early morning, this one. Oh, even for me. I was going to do it last night. Ended up doing it this morning. So, bit of an early stream. So, thank you for anybody that does pop on and watch this morning. But nice to do it. Coffee. So, to get me awake, to get me going for the stream. So, yeah, Man United Leeds. Pretty close to Leeds, live near Leeds. So this for me is even more of a big one, big rivalry. So always look forward to Man United Leeds. Remember Man United Leeds as a kid. In sort of, I didn't go to pubs, but I remember pubs being full when Man United Leeds were always playing, and I had a lot of friends who were Leeds fans. So yeah, just always a big game between Man United and Leeds. So I'm looking forward to this one quite a lot. Other than the fact that United aren't on a consistent amount of form at the minute, and we could get a beat at Ellen Road, which would cap off Leeds' season. Even if they went down, they'd take that to the grave, wouldn't they? Beating United. So we can't let that happen, obviously. We need to beat them. We've beaten them convincingly most times we've played them in the Premier League so far. That being 3 times. Start of the season was it a 4 or 5-1 win? I think Bruno got a couple, didn't he? Or did Bruno get his hat trick in that game? I'm jogging my memory about now. It was August time, wasn't it? I'm just looking at the fixture, going back at the fixture list. How far is this going back? Oh God, I've gone too far. Where am I here? 5-1. August the 14th. Bruno got his hat trick, yeah. And Pogba scored. And a young fellow scored, whose name we're now not allowed to mention, apparently. It's almost like Voldemort. I don't mind saying it. It was Greenwood who scored. There we go. So, yeah, 5-1 against Leeds last time at Old Trafford when we seemed to be on a bit of form. Then the big man came in and everyone started blaming him in Ronaldo. However, how good was Ronaldo's goal the other night? Brilliant. Classic Ronaldo. Snapshot. Kind of no lift, no back lift. Jigging through people. No back lift. Looping it into the far corner. Brilliant. What a goal. Brilliant, and then we just want to see more of that. I think we've been starved of it a little bit with Ronaldo this season. Yeah, we've had last gasp winners, headers, but we want to see those types of goals from him, don't we, as well? That they were the things that made the memories, and brilliant the other day. Fantastic. Sorry if I got a bit of a cough. Bit chesty this morning. Yeah, so we're going to get into talking about a few things, including the Maguire captaincy issue, which to me is not an issue at all. Yet it does seem to be such an issue in the media. United have got a great knack at the moment of providing the media with something to talk about. We've become that club, where everybody likes talking about us. Chelsea have been that club in the past. Other teams have been that club. United haven't been that club, and now we're starting to become a team who are constantly talked about, whether it be what's Ronaldo having for tea, or whether Maguire is getting his captaincy stripped off him. So obviously his form hasn't been good this season, has it? Had a good Euros. Off the back of that, felt as if he was coming into a bit of form. Shaw's been the same. Everyone's criticising Maguire because he's in that central position and he holds that band around his arm. But Shaw hasn't been in a particularly great vein of form in that back four either. I think there's been some poor performances from him too. And yeah, generally, there's been a lot of players who have been quite off form, but Maguire seems to be taking the brunt of the accusation, and I think it's a little bit unfair. When you're in a centre-half position, you make a mistake, you usually get punished. You make a mistake in midfield, or you make a mistake further afield in a more advanced role, advanced position, then generally, yeah, you make a mistake, you lose a ball. You don't make a mistake, concede a goal, and that's why people get on goalkeepers' backs, why they get on defenders' backs, because usually they're conceding a goal or allowing a goal to be conceded. So it's tough. It's very, very tough. Being a top centre half in a very competitive league, and I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think the tactics that we play, unfortunately, I think what everybody's trying to say, and not saying it. We're not saying that Maguire's a bad defender. I think with the system that we play, he's not a particularly great defender. But is he not a similar sort of defender to PK? When you look at his pace and his size and his mobility, and yet PK played in a very, at some top Barcelona teams. But because the team in front of him were able to control and dictate that game and manage the game in front of him, we've not done that. All we've done is invited pressure on our back four with how poor our midfield's been, allowing pressure on us constantly, allowing that constant stream of chances coming our way. And to be quite honest, I think they've done well in that regard. If you were to look at the amount of challenges or interceptions that our back four have to deal with compared to Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, I think we'd be quite surprised. And taking that into consideration, I think you can't be too harsh on Maguire. I mean, you look at like Diaz. Everyone raving about Diaz last season. Obviously, he's had a decent season this season. Laporte's come in and sort of like, took some of the headlines this season. But like Diaz last season was lauded for his performances, and he had a poor Euros. Whereas Maguire had a really, really good Euro. So it really sort of depends on the team as well in front of you. When you're a centre half, you've got to really have that midfield that's going to protect you and support you really as well. So the Maguire, the captaincy thing generally, I think is a poor move in terms of the fans. I think we at least get it to the end of the season before it's reviewed. I've never seen many clubs, certainly not United, strip armbands off people who are still at a club mid-season or even while they're still there. I think it's pretty odd and it's pretty harsh, and it sets a precedent. And equally, it doesn't bode well from there for the player once that's happened. I think if we were to do that, then it'd be a struggle for Maguire to find any kind of level of credibility within the team and any form from there. I mean, it could have the opposite effect. It could really lift a weight from his shoulders, but I think equally he's got to be honest to himself. Does he feel up to the task? Is he an individual who's got that kind of personality where he's going to rise above things and be more vocal and be more, communicative with his team? He doesn't seem to be that player half the time, and I think that's what kind of gets on fans' backs, gets on our backs, that he's not shouting and screaming at his players when the time is right, when something's happened or whether there needs to be some order or some level of leadership. He seems to go wanting a little bit missing. And I think if we saw more of that from him, people would be right behind him. Passionate performances where he's putting his neck on the block and really showing the rest of the team what it's about. I think that's all we want to see from him some of the time. Obviously, we want to see clean sheets. We want to see him put big tackles in. We want to see him dominate a game from the back. But we just want to see some passionate performances from Maguire. And I think that would get the fans on his side and help him out a great deal. But it just seems to me that his personality doesn't aim that way. He seems to be quite a quiet, reserved person. And I don't think that helps. I don't think that helps him at all. But stripping the band off him, I think is pointless. Is it more sentimentality that it would go to Ronaldo than anybody else in the team? I think so. Does Ronaldo give off this impression that he's a constant leader on the pitch, or I have that feeling that he leads from the front? I don't think so. I think sometimes he has a tendency to moan and complain and whinge and whine. Same with Bruno, and you can't do that. Captains don't do that. They get on with it. They put their head down. They get on with it. They move on from decisions. Yeah, they sometimes make their voices heard about decisions that are possibly wrong or decisions that they don't think are right. but they shouldn't dwell on things and let it affect their game and let it affect their performances and let it affect the team's performance. And I think sometimes Ronaldo does that with his attitude and personality because personally he's not having a good game. Is he a team player in that sense that he's thinking about other players and other players' performances within the match? I don't think so. That's not a criticism. That's just I think he's focused on what he's doing, and if he can focus on what he's doing, he gets the best out of himself. And Ronaldo usually will do something in that game. Equally, like the other day, he'll score a goal. But if he's thinking about picking up Rashford's performances or picking up Alanga's performances or someone else within the team, then his performances dip. And that's maybe possibly what's happened with Ronaldo recently. Obviously, he's had a bit of a 4 or 5 match slump before he'd scored that goal the other night. So maybe that's what it was, that he's thinking about those other things and not thinking about his own performances in the match. So yeah, but no, generally I think the captaincy needs to stay with Maguire at least till the end of the season, and then Maguire himself needs to be fairly honest with himself, and only he knows whether he's up for that task. If the club and the manager believe he is the right man, then he will be the captain until he wants it. Obviously, there's a lot of talk with United bringing in Ten Hag at the end of the season, which could or could not happen. And in which case, if it does happen, then there could be a review from there when the new manager comes in. Obviously, Rangnick will have a big say in that as well because he'll have a lot of knowledge on Maguire and on his captaincy and on the rest of the team and the club. So there'll be a discussion had there. So I think just give it till the end of the season, get behind him. That's the only thing that's going to improve his performances and improve and help United by getting behind him and not getting on at him. I think as a fan base, we're pretty fickle. Most football fans are, but I think United this season have been extremely fickle. One bad performance, we're on it. Certain players' backs. Another good performance, we're right on top of him, right behind him again, and it's just. Yeah, just needs to stop. Just needs to get on with it. Look at the next game. Look at what we can do as fans to support it, and just move on from there. Really, I think getting on at players. Obviously, there's certain things that frustrate us, and that's why we talk about them, and that's fine to talk about them. I think berating players and sending out hateful messages is just not a way to deal with it. So yeah, but give it to the end of the season. Let's see how we get on with Maguire as captain till the season ends, and I'm sure it'll get discussed and reviewed from there. So, yeah, let's just jump onto the formation. Seamless transition there. So, yeah, so this is a formation, a pretty similar one to the other day I put out. I'm not going with Rashford or the back four. I'll start with the back four, really, I suppose. Obviously, De Gea in goal, which this season goes without saying. He saved the other day again against Brighton was ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous. And he just keeps outperforming himself this season. Save after save, just keeps raising the bar in terms of where he's at United. And I think he's now level with Schmeichel on clean sheets, which is incredible. So, congrats to De Gea. He's going to go down as equally one of the, greatest goalkeepers we've ever had. I think he's unfortunately just come to United at such a sort of barren spell of success, really. Any other team that he would have been in, he would have been looking down the barrel of Champions Leagues, more Premier Leagues than he's already got. The list would have gone on for him, really, for FA Cups, League Cups, but he's just coming at such a terrible spell of towards the middle and back end of his time at United. That such a shame, but he'll definitely go down as a legend at the club. De Gea, and he's got, equal amount of clean sheets. Was it 125? Something like crazy like that. It's just mad. Joint with Schmeichel, so fair play to him. Unbelievable stat and unbelievable player. Back four, Maguire, Varane. And anybody will tell you with a back four, or it's definitely two centre halves. And I think Rangnick's no exception. He can play pressing football. You can play whatever tactics you want. You can be bottom of the league play a 4-4-2. You can be Pep at the top and play whatever you want to play. You need a partnership in your back four. It needs to be. There needs to be two players in that formation that play week in, week out with each other most of the time, other than maybe the odd cup game where there's need for rest. But them two need to play together constantly. If that's going to be your back four, or your back two, or your two centre halves and your back four, then you need to make sure that those two players play together pretty regularly, so they understand each other, so they work with each other, so they can be familiar with each other's games. And it's important that happens. Yeah, you can move a midfielder, you can move a strike, but generally the two centre halves need to be playing together pretty regularly. So I've got no doubt that Maguire will be starting with Varane. I think Varane's starting to kick into gear a little bit. It's been slow. It's been a slow start. I think injuries hindered him a little bit as well, obviously. I'm not sure what he's like with his English, whether there's a small language barrier there as well. There's a lot of mixed nationalities within the squad anyway. So, they're not all English speaking, but I'm not sure what his English is like, Varane's, but obviously, like I say, a bit of a slow start, but I think in the last couple of games you could see his class starting to come through. He just needs Maguire now to just kind of support him in that. And I suppose it's odd for Varane because you come into a team, but Maguire's there. He's a youngish player, new captain to the team, new player to the squad really in comparison to Pogba or probably even like Tellez and or definitely McTominay in terms of the understanding of the club. So Varane's not coming into a ready-made team where he's filling a position where we were missing. Well, obviously we're missing that position, but it's not. The rest of the team's not sorted. He still had these issues, and I think Varane didn't expect to have to come in and almost work and help Maguire out a little bit. And I think that's what's had to take place. I think he's had to understand that Maguire's struggling, that Maguire's quite new to the team as well and new to Manchester United, and he needs to be helped out. He's not at the. Let's be honest, Maguire's not at the level Varane is, or hasn't been. Has not reached that level that Varane's been at. World Cups, and latter stages of World Cups, winning a World Cup, going to Champions League finals, winning Champions League finals, winning La Ligas, winning titles regularly. He's a serial winner, Varane, and Maguire's not, and that's the difference, and that's where Varane needs to help him out. And I think gradually Varane's taking a bit of control in that back four now, and helping them get through it. So hopefully we'll see that again tomorrow. But I think them two will be playing. Dalot, right? I think Dalot's cemented his position in that right back position now for the rest of the season. I can't see Wan-Bissaka taking that role back. I mean, there was a point in which it seemed as if Wan-Bissaka was never going to leave that right back position for United. But his forward play is just not good enough. If there's a way you could play them two together, you could play Dalot further forward on the right and play Wan-Bissaka behind him. But the trouble is Wan-Bissaka doesn't link up with whoever it is on the right hand side, and Dalot does that. That's what we need. We need overlapping fullbacks, and with Wan-Bissaka, you just don't get it. You don't get that level of support on the right or the left. Sorry, the right overlapping. It leaves us isolated, and that's a problem. And Dalot's been doing that this season, so I can't see Wan-Bissaka, coming in. I can see Dalot taking that position now till I can see season end, and he deserves it. On the left, I've got Tellez. It could be Shaw, a bit of a 50-50 on that one. But I think, personally, I feel as if Tellez has done absolutely nothing wrong in that position. And when we play with him this season, we've looked better. I was going to say he's better than Shaw. I think when Shaw's on form, Shaw's a better player, but you just don't know what Shaw you're going to get. And you can get quite an erratic Luke Shaw when he's not on form as well, making silly fouls, making silly tackles, giving away dangerous free kicks in dangerous areas. He's usually out of position when he's not on form, looks unfit. Generally, when Shaw plays bad, Shaw plays quite bad, and when other players play bad, I don't think it's as bad as as Shaw. So when Tellez is struggling in the game, he's evidently struggling, but he's still trying. He's still sort of there or thereabouts. When Shaw's played bad this season, it's been epically quite bad. So I think we'll play. I think we'll see Tellez on the left. In midfield, I'd hope we'd see Fernandes, McTominay, and Pogba. However, I could sort of see him playing Fred. There's this crazy stat about Fred at the minute where I think we've won, out of 10 games, we've won 9 games or something like that with Fred in the team, only drawn or lost 1. Obviously, we won quite well the other night with Fred again in the team. I don't think the performance was particularly convincing, but we still won, and it was his first time we've scored 2 for quite a considerable amount of games. When was the last time we scored 2 goals? Let's get that stat up. Last time we scored 2 goals in a game in an open 90 minutes. Let's get that stat up. But yeah, I think there could be an argument that he will play Fred. The last time we scored 2, more than 2 or 2 or more was the Brentford game. So previous to the Brighton game, it was 5 or 6 games before, which is quite a few games where we'd gone without a goal, more than a single goal. And for United, that's not good enough, really. We didn't even score 2 against Middlesbrough. We struggled against Burnley. We struggled against Southampton. It's just not good enough. So I think that's peculiar that we've been quite critical of Fred, but I do think that midfield is better with Pogba in it. I really, really do. I think he just links that transition up from the back to the forward line. There's no one else in our team who can do that. The pace and the precision that he does it, the quality that he does that at. Once he gets that ball in midfield, he's turning. He's got the strength to ride a tackle, and then he's turning and he's playing 20-yard, 30-yard, 40-yard balls. Relatively into feet, into chest, into head, with accuracy. And there's no other player that can do that on our team. McTominay tries. He's not there in that team to do that. He's there to break up the play, and he's done that quite well when Pogba's been there over the last 2 or 3 games. The problem we've had, and we've been looking down the barrel of like a better, with some more positivity. I think if we'd have taken some results out of Burnley, out of Southampton, out of Middlesbrough, especially out of the Middlesbrough Burnley games where the first half we were good, and we could have killed off the game and give ourselves less pressure to deal with. Yet we've had some pretty disappointing results out of some decent performances. But yeah, but for me, the Pogba thing is definitely working. The only way you could fit Fred into this team for me, I can't see you dropping McTominay. I can't see you dropping Pogba, although he did drop Pogba against Brighton. Is you play a false 9, you drop the centre forward position. Do you drop Ronaldo or do you move? Obviously, clearly not after the other night. You don't drop Ronaldo, but do you move Ronaldo sort of wide left, wide right? Play with a false 9. Play with Fernandes in the middle as a false 9, and then play Fred in midfield with McTominay. Do you go with that? I personally, I think you probably just keep it the same as it is now. I mean, I would love to see the false 9 work. I really, really would, but I just don't feel he will play that. Albeit it would, I think, work pretty well. So yeah, Fernandes in the midfield as well. I think Fernandes hasn't had a particularly fantastic season. I think if you look at his stats, though, he's a proper statistician, isn't he? I think if you look at his stats, actually, he's probably had a pretty decent season. But form-wise, just his overall play has not been particularly great. And I think the minutes that he gets, for the minutes that he actually gets in the team, you would kind of expect some of the numbers that he's producing in this quality of the team that he's in. Some of the assist stats that he's getting, the chances he's creating, the goals that he's scored. You would kind of expect that from a guy who's playing pretty much 90 minutes every game for a top 4 club. So yeah, a bit. We needed a bit more. We needed a bit more from Fernandes, and I think, like I say, last half of the season now, it's a big push from February to the end of the season now to get this top 4 spot, and we need to be winning these games that we're expected to win. But what I would say is that there's not much cover there for Fernandes at this moment in time. You know, we've obviously just got rid of Van der Beek, sent him on loan. He's playing well as well. There's a lot of commentary about Van der Beek playing well. I mean, he's had one game, but I did like Van der Beek, and I think he would have been perfect cover for Fernandes. But that's where we struggle, I think, as well a little bit. We haven't got much cover in that position for him, so that's where we do sort of struggle to replace him. I'm going to go Sancho left, Alanga right. It could be Alanga left and Sancho right. You know, and they'll switch, I'm sure, during the game. I don't think he'll play Rashford. He could play Rashford, actually, but I hope he doesn't start Rashford. I think Rashford is, at this moment in time this season, just needs to be impact player. His form's been so up and down and so spiky that I can't see him starting. Or he shouldn't start anyway, is what I should say. He should be coming on. Maybe when the game needs a goal, maybe when the game doesn't, you know, when we're 1-0 up, bring him on and see what he can do. Fresh energy, plenty of pace, gives Leeds something to think about. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting. I think hopefully he'll go with Alanga, but I obviously we don't think Alanga had a particularly great game against Brighton the other day. So it's one of them. It could be up and down there with the Alanga Rashford one. Obviously Ronaldo's going to start. It goes without saying that Cavani's still got an injury as well. So even if Ronaldo wasn't going to start and there was an opportunity for Cavani to come in, Cavani's injured. So I don't think we'll see Cavani. Just to note that Matic is back as well, I believe. Not Nemanja Vidic, if anybody saw the Sky Sports report. Nemanja Matic. But I can't see Nemanja Matic playing in this game, at least not starting the game. He could come on for the last 20, 15, depending on the scoreline. So yeah, that's the formation. Just have a quick look at the fixtures. Oh, there we go. Took a little bit of time, didn't it? So these are the fixtures. So we've got Leeds obviously tomorrow. Big game, looking forward to it. Ellen Road. Man United not on a great bit of form. Leeds struggling, so everything to play for both teams. Leeds will expect to get a result. Man United will be expected to get a result. The stadium will be full. Was it 30-odd thousand at Ellen Road? It'll be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it. 2:00 on a Sunday. Pretty decent kick-off time. Not too early, not too late. Obviously, it would have been nice for an Saturday afternoon game, but Sunday afternoon, 2:00. And we've got to expect a result. I think from a Leeds' point of view, they get Rafinha coming back off a little bit of fitness and form. I think he's dipped a little bit in terms of, I think he had that break, didn't he? Went to Brazil, they were playing over there, came back, has been thrown straight into the mix, and he struggled. But Rafinha is class, absolutely class, and he's obviously going to be a big risk. I think the other risk is Danny James. You know, I believe he played quite well for Leeds the other night against, was it Villa? I think I want to say Villa. He did really, really well, and Danny James comes back to United and risks giving us a massive upset if he plays well. His pace is unreal. We're not blessed with pace at the back, as we know. You know, Maguire's not fast. I don't think everyone keeps saying Varane's very, very quick. I'm yet to see that a little bit. I don't think he's slow, but I don't think he's Danny James quick. If he's having to face up Danny James sprinting full at him and he's got to turn and have a foot race, I wouldn't be that confident. I don't think Shaw's particularly quick. I don't think he's slow, but I don't think he's quick again. And Dallo as well. So, Danny James poses a bit of a threat for us, really, doesn't he? So, hopefully that's not the case, but we'll see. Just in terms of the other fixtures, really, obviously beyond the Leeds game and into mainly into Feb and a little bit into March. Obviously, we've got a pretty tough back end of Feb, early March, really. A very tough, Feb and March. Atletico Madrid next Wednesday, which is a big one. First leg away from home, so everything again to play for. You grab a goal there, you get an away goal. So it's a big one. Go on to Watford, which is a little bit of a respite in terms of the fixtures in between. It's a game that you must win. It's a must-win game. It's an easier game in between these fixtures, and it's a massive 3 points, really, considering the games that are coming up. So we've got to take the Watford game, especially we're at home as well. So it's another added advantage that we've got. Then move on to City away from home. As we know, the Man United-Man City games can go either way. Start of the season, we got pummeled. We were still sort of working ourselves out. Weren't on a great spell of form. Trying to work out the manager situation, trying to work out the formation situation. Still, obviously, Ollie was in a bit of a bad spell at that time, coming to the end of his sort of reign as United manager. And we got hammered. Absolutely hammered. But we've had a little bit more time now under Rangnick. The team's settling a little bit. We're a bit more difficult to beat. We're not great at winning games either, but we're a little more difficult to beat. So we'll see. I'll say absolute 50, well not 50-50. City obviously massive favourites for that game, but if United show up, show character, show a bit of willing, show some energy, and some fight, we've got every chance. We've got the quality to be able to go beyond just grafting and fighting to get a result out of that City game. But we do if we get a point out of that, that's a big result considering the form that they're currently on. I mean, their Champions League result midweek was just ridiculous, wasn't it, against Sporting Lisbon? They're an unbelievable team, unbelievable quality throughout the squad, and we've got to try and cope with it and try and deal with it. But that's City. Then 12th of March, my birthday, Spurs, big game, top 4 candidate as well. So really got to get a win out of that game at home as well. So yeah, big match against Spurs. Spurs up and down form. Seem to have found a bit of form with Conte early on, and now it's starting to dip away again. So they seem to be doing what Spurs do best and not having the gas to get to over the line and bottling it. So hopefully that plays into our favour, and by the time we come to meet Spurs, we'll be favourites to get the 3 points. But still a big game against Spurs who can cause an upset. So they've obviously got qualities in lots of areas. Then we go back at home, back to the Champions League and Atletico Madrid, which again is a massive game, but it's kind of considering the form and where we think we need to be at with top 4, it's become a little bit of a, not an inconvenience, but if the first leg goes well, we're still in it. It's 0-0 or it's 1-0 to them, or even grab a goal, it's 1-0 to us. We'll go to Old Trafford and it's everything to play for to get us into the last 8, and that's just massive. I think considering where our season's been, to get into the last 8 would be mad. The quarterfinals of the Champions League, considering the form that we've been on this season, would be huge. So yeah, that would be it's a big game. To come through the Atletico Madrid game and win that would be an achievement, I think, this season. And then you never know. The last 8 teams to go, 3 games to go. After things have happened. So then on to Liverpool. So really looking at the Premier League fixtures, Watford, City, Tottenham, Liverpool. Yeah, City, Liverpool, okay, sort of back-to-back-ish within a couple of weeks. The trouble is we're away from home on both games. Both teams have come to Old Trafford and smashed us. We go away now to the Etihad and to Anfield. And it could happen again, but look, it is what it is. We've got to fight. We've got to try. We know where we're at. We can't rely on those 2 games for points, and we've just got to show a bit more fight. And hopefully, by the time the Liverpool game comes round, we've had a little bit of good form. We've got some results out of the previous games, and yeah, we could get a result. We could get a result. I think the way that Liverpool are playing again, similar to City, I think a little bit different. The difference to City is that Liverpool are just getting the job done. They're grinding out results, finding a 1-0, finding a 2-0. Again, difficult to beat, difficult to break down, but then they're finding the goals where they need to find the goals. Salah's still popping up for a goal. Jota's been excellent when Salah and Mane have been missing. And they're just getting the job done, whereas City are just coasting, absolutely coasting. So there's a difference in the manner in which both those teams are winning. But I think Man United have just got to take those games as finals and just try to grind up. We get 2 points out of those 2 games, 2 draws. It'd be a big result, I think, considering where we were at the start of the season, getting smashed by both of them, and how disjointed we were. I think to knock them back to a draw would be a positive result. Obviously, we want to win. Of course, we want to win, but I think we've got to be realistic as well. We've not been great. We've not been great against teams that we should have beaten. So, yeah, just got to be realistic. I think none of us want to see us get smashed 2, 3, 4-0, maybe more. Nobody wants to see that. We want to see a tight contest where we give both Liverpool and Man City something to think about a little bit. Yeah, so that's where we are in terms of the fixtures. I won't go on to the other ones. Yeah, so right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. So Leeds tomorrow at 2. Big game. Looking forward to it. Expecting 3 points really. If we've done what we do against Leeds normally and play to his potential. Starting to just find a little bit of form, I'm hoping. Hopefully we can have a solid performance in the defensive line. Ronaldo's back to where he was against Brighton the other night. We start creating a bit more chances and taking his chances as well, hopefully. We seem to have a knack of doing that against Leeds. I think he'll, like I say, McTominay also likes Leeds as well most of the time as well, so maybe he'll pop up for a couple of goals. But I think generally, I'm pretty confident. Other than the fact that I think we're away from home, it's a hostile environment. It's the Leeds fans are a big voice, so hopefully we'll rise to that a little bit. But other than that, yeah, looking forward to it. So guys, thanks if you've watched. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll try and do a reaction tomorrow night if I can for the Leeds game, and hopefully it's 3 points we're talking about. Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.